All right. Okay. Welcome to the Commonwealth Scholarship webinar brought to you by Global Wings with support from the Commonwealth organization hosted by Excel Amaefule, a Commonwealth alumni, a good friend of mine. And like I said earlier, he's the brain behind everything you'll be hearing today on this call. I will come back afterwards to do some announcements after we have gone through what we're looking at. But this session is not going to be a session where you come and hear the stories of everyone. We have planned out an amazing content for you that we'll be running through in the next hour, 30 minutes. And we are not going to be doing it by ourselves. You're going to have people who have walked the path that you are looking forward to walking, who would be bringing you ideas that have been proven true, that have worked for them, strategies that are actually very effective, that they've tried and tested. I myself am a Chieftain alumni. I finished my master's this year in London from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So we do know what we are talking about when we tell you that there is a way for you to put your application, make it stronger, ensure that it meets or at least increases your chances of winning a scholarship. Right. Without anything said, let's type in the chat box if you're excited to be joining in today. Let us know where you're joining in from. What part of the world are you joining in from? Are you joining from Lagos, from Nigeria, from Sudan, from Kenya? All right, let's have them. Let's have them. Everyone, start typing, start typing. Excited. Tanzania, interesting. Jos, Malawi, interesting to see that we're all joining in from several parts of the world. Okay, welcome Abuja. Let's keep typing, guys, or else I would not bring up Excel. And if I don't bring up Excel, nothing's going to happen. You're just going to be here looking at your face, you know. Okay, we also have our other speakers in the house. Just trying to be sure that they can hear me. Assad, please confirm you can hear me, Assad. Like you can just give me a
Yep. Yep.
fantastic.
I
It's good
can.
to see you. It's good to see you. Fantastic. All right. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of folks that I've seen before from our Chief New webinars and all that. Okay, Lagos. We seem to have Uganda also. Uganda, nice to have you here. Please, just in case you have friends who are supposed to be here, who you think will need the session and they are not here, can you just share this link to them? Can you just post on your WhatsApp, post maybe your Instagram, and let people know that we have something that's done for free, practical, and effective that people can be a part of, and you can just share that with them. Chief Excel, can you go to the next slide? Okay. All right. Without running you through all that we've been doing, Global Wins has been running for the last 2 years. We've been running Global Wins as an offshoot of ULEAD International. ULEAD International is the organization that we run to support young people when it comes to clarity in professional part, clarity when it comes to entrepreneurship and leadership, because we believe that Africa is supposed to be part of those people who are not just pioneering change, but also leading the way in terms of talent. Because of our population by 2050, we think that a lot of talents will be coming from Africa, and people have to be prepared when it comes to the quality of leadership and the kind of skills that they have. So we've been supporting young people the last 7 years with Skills Connect Bootcamp, several other kind of leadership programs. And most recently, we decided to actually include scholarships and careers at a stronger part. And that's why we started the Global Wins community. Next slide. So what we've been doing so far is if there's anyone who actually wants to pursue scholarships or pursue career growth across the globe, we ensure that we provide you with resources that are free, resources that are actually very, very effective so that you can either apply, either win, or however it goes. So that's what we've been doing. So a lot of our videos are available on YouTube for most of the sessions that we've done so far. And we also have from our last set, this year we had 2 months of Chevening Application Bootcamp. And in that 2 months, we supported 240 scholars from over 10 countries to put in strong applications from the essay writing stage. We took them through 8 weeks of training where they learned how to write essays. They actually learned how to review essays. They actually learned how to put in strong applications. And the year before, we had about 20 scholars from the Chevening Scholarship who came out of our community across the globe as well. And from Nepal, from Nigeria, from Tanzania, a mix of about 20 scholars won the Chevening Scholarship from our community. And that was like a plus for us. And we decided to just keep doing all of this. So my friend Excel was like, okay, let's do the Commonwealth one because they reached out for us to like get more people interested in the Commonwealth scholarship because it's a very amazing scholarship, gives you very strong opportunities to compete in the world of work. It can help catalyze whatever progress you're already making. And we felt it necessary to bring you this session. Next slide. So, in the course of today, we'll be running through a series of things. First, we will be having a round of introductions. I'm going to pass on to Excel and he's going to run through that. We're going to be hearing the Commonwealth Scholarship story of one of the amazing speakers and how he was able to put in a very strong application. Then we're going to look at how do you actually craft a profile for your application? How do you prepare your resume? How do you create your experiences, your profiles, all the things that you have done? How do you put all of this together as your key resource to put in a strong application? Then we're going to look at how do we write winning essays? I think there are about 6 to 7 essay questions, Excel for Commonwealth. I'm not so sure. How many essays do you have?
Yeah, there are over six of them. If I,
Exactly. So how do you write essays that would win, at least stand a chance, right? How do you put, some of us already have strong experiences, but we don't know how to put these things in words, right? How do you do this? And then we're going to have a quick Q&A session, and then we'll close the session. But afterwards, we'll have 2 more sessions as a result of this session today. We're going to focus on purely essay writing for the Commonwealth shared application. So without further ado, please, everyone, can you react in the chat box? And if you're excited, to have our host today, Excel Amaefule, an amazing
What
young man. Excel, over to you. Thank you.
do you want me to do?
oh yeah, sorry, I've been corrected. There are 11 aces, just
Exactly.
not to scare anyone though.
Okay.
Yeah,
11 short essays where you have
very
to use
short.
very short amount of character limits, right? 11 short essays. And yes. So, Excel, over to you.
All right. Yeah, welcome everyone. And without further ado, I'll introduce myself. So my name is Excel Amaefule. I studied environment politics. Can we mute ourselves, please? Thank you. Studied environment politics and development at SOAS University of London, and I was the past regional network coordinator for Commonwealth scholarships here in London, and now I'm pursuing a different post graduate degree in University of Birmingham. And just to go on to our speakers, we have our first speaker today. Asad Tariq is a PhD candidate in humanities and social sciences as at
Báwo
IIT.
ẹ fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ màá ṣínà bá dùn iná. Káyà mọ́
Uh,
gàjò.
yeah, apologies for that. Let's try and mute ourselves when you join the call. Specializing in development economics, politics, and religion, his research focuses on documenting discrimination against marginalized groups in India, exploring policy measures for their upliftment. Assad has been recognized with the Commonwealth Split Site Scholarship, Imperial College London, and the Junior Research Fellowship by the University Grants Commission India. He has represented his work at national and international conferences and contributed to research projects with the Department of Science and Technology India and CGIAR, and currently as a Fulbright Nehru Doctoral Research Fellow at Brown University. Assad is examining the impact of religious minority legislators in India on public goods provision for minorities. Beyond his research, he enjoys reading Allama Iqbal's poetry and exploring culinary and cultural richness in Purani Dili. Mr. Assad, you have to explain what that means because some of us might be interested in that as well. Moving on to our second speaker, uh, Andino holds an MSc in Public Health Nutrition Communication from the University of Calabar and an MSc in Public Health Nutrition from Chester University, where she graduated as a Commonwealth Shared Scholar in 2024. During her time at Chester, she served as the student ambassador and also the Commonwealth representative for the university. As a dedicated volunteer, her research focuses on nutrition, child nutrition, and breastfeeding, and her contributions earned her Chester Difference Award and the UK Nutrition Society's Student Choice Award in September 2024. And she's currently pursuing her PhD in a related field. And also for our final speaker, Mr. Segun Bamidele is a dedicated scholar currently pursuing MSc in Climate Change Science and Policy at University of Bristol. His commitment to driving social impact and fostering leadership for change is exemplified through his role as a co-founder of Raise Initiative in Nigeria and an organization focused on transformative community development. Shegun is also a former awardee of the Young African Leaders Initiative, yearly regional leadership center, an alumnus of the Aspire Leadership Program, and a Teach for Nigeria Fellowship graduate. His work reflects a deep passion for sustainable development and empowering communities through education and policy. And moving on to about the Commonwealth scholarships, just a brief introduction. The Commonwealth scholarships, so the aim is to bring students from all across the Commonwealth countries who cannot afford to study in the UK naturally. And this is funded by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office here in the UK, that's the FCDO. And it's a scheme led by international development objectives, and it's targeted at all the Commonwealth countries. And there is support for co-creation of research, innovation, and solutions to enact sustainable development priorities. Apologies. Okay, so 7 unique, things are popping up on my screen. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So the Commonwealth has 7 different scholarship entry pathways. So we have the Commonwealth PhD scholarships, and for least developed countries and fragile states, we have the Commonwealth Split Site Scholarship for low and middle income countries. Assad is, I think he can speak on this. He's currently coming through this area. Then we have the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship, and we have the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. We have Commonwealth Distance Learning Scholarship, Commonwealth PhD scholarships for high income countries, and we have Commonwealth Professional Programs. And each of these basically all have similar entry points. They have the application is similar, but they're all held by the Commonwealth organization, but different governing bodies, like different arms of the same body. And there are 6 different teams. We have the science and technology for development. We have strengthening health systems and capacity for the medical field, mostly. We have promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. We have strengthening global peace, security, and governance. We have strengthening resilience and response to crisis, which was my team while I was pursuing. And then we have access, inclusion, and opportunity. So these Commonwealth scholarships, they all are focused on creating future leaders across the Commonwealth as catalysts for sustainable development. And during your stay here, the Commonwealth supports you with a wide range of opportunities, both during your school period and also external activities, weekends for research trainings and other very interesting opportunities, which I would allow the speakers to go more in depth. So moving on for eligibility criteria. And before I go on, this webinar was brought to us for those coming in now by Global Wins, which is a subsidiary of ULEAD International, and also the support of the FCDO and the Commonwealth themselves. So they are fully aware of the program. And so moving on to the eligibility. So you must be a citizen or have been a refugee, have gained refugee status by an eligible Commonwealth country or be a British protected person. You must be permanently resident in an eligible Commonwealth country. You must be available to start your academic studies in the UK by the start of UK September 2025. You must be unable to afford the studies for whatsoever reason. And selection criteria, so academic merit of the candidate. So your school, of course, will count, but that is not the only thing that counts as well. It's just one part. So the quality of the plan of study, your potential impact um, on the development aspects that you wish to research on or focus on. And moving on to, yeah, so what does the Commonwealth offer? So it gives you fully funded study in the UK at a UK institution, and then it gives you visa travel cost for uh, like to and fro from your country and back to your country at the closure of your program, and additional financial support, including family allowance and disability support. So we have many people with disability here studying, and it's not a barrier at all. And in fact, they encourage you to apply even with your disabilities. So opportunities to meet other scholars and other experts in the field, and opportunities to join the Leaders in Development, Sustainable Development Program, and then joining a global alumni network. And one thing that the Commonwealth will tell you is that you're a Commonwealth Scholar for life. And that is the first thing you see. And that is the thing they'll keep telling you almost every day. And moving on to the next slide. Um, okay, so having said that, I hope that wasn't lengthy. I'm going to introduce and welcome again Assad to quickly take the floor. You can unmute yourself and just give us your side of the story. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you, Assad. Welcome.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I'm Asad Tariq. I'm currently pursuing a PhD in economics at Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi, and I'll be a Fulbright scholar at Brown University in a couple of days. So I have a flight to catch. Yeah, so I spent a year in at Imperial College London from September of 2023 to September of 2024, where I conducted research on how does political accountability impact the provision of public goods in for religious minorities in India. And Commonwealth was kind enough to fund it completely. And so do I go by, like, should I answer each of these questions one by one, or should I just skip to the slides? What would you prefer?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you can choose to be flexible as you.
Yeah,
This can just
yeah,
guide, but then yeah, it's your time. You
sure,
can follow the
sure.
step. Yeah.
So sure. So can you please, like, move to the next slide? Yeah. Yeah, so the Commonwealth Split Site Scholarship, as Excel already said, is completely funded. I think if you're a PhD student, in addition to what everyone gets, you also get a research support grant, so which you can spend on your research. So if you are a scientist, you can spend it on for the equipment in the lab. If you are a social scientist like me, you can spend it on conferences or on some other stuff that is necessary for your research. Yeah, so I was at Imperial College London, as I said, and it is probably the university with the best garden because Hyde Park is next to it. Hyde Park is the most popular park in London, probably with 350 acres of greenery, and it also has a couple of museums next to it, so it's a pretty fun place in my opinion. And yeah, so being a Commonwealth scholar, I had access. I was a full-time student, and I had access to all the faculty members, their feedback, the great library, and other infrastructure resources that came with Imperial. And yeah, so my experience overall has been very positive, and I think it took my research to a level which could not have been possible if I did it in India, just because of the feedback and the networking opportunities that I got. Um, I got to talk with people and get feedback from people who have been conducting research in similar areas and have experience of decades, which usually is not the case if you are coming from a middle income or a low income country where you do not have access to those kind of people because they exist in their own academic ivory towers. Yeah, can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So just to give you an idea of my experience, I won't go into the specifics because I realize a lot of people here come from very various disciplines, so I don't think I should be going into the specifics. But just to give you an idea how it impacted my research, so just in 1 year, I attended and presented at more conferences than I did in the first 2 years of my PhD combined. So I spent my third year of PhD at Imperial, and it turned out to be more productive than the first 2 years of my PhD combined. I got to network with like huge names in my field and talk to them. Ended up having some potential collaborations, which I'm working on currently. And yeah, and the financial assistance made it extremely easy for me to concentrate on my research as compared to trying to get a part-time job and trying to make ends meet, which I did not have to do. So I think that proved to be very crucial and helpful for me. Just to give you an idea of what kind of networking opportunities that you can get with Commonwealth. So there are these programs. So there is the Connect and Collaborate program where Commonwealth scholars from all across the UK, they come to London for a seminar where some of these scholars present, and you get to talk with people from all the fields. So even if you are a social scientist, you get to talk with scientists, you get to talk with policy practitioners, you get to talk with other people who probably have a lot more experience in the field, and now they are pursuing a master's degree as compared to someone who just got into a master's degree. So you have all kinds of people across disciplines and across age groups, and I think that really helps you gain an idea or gain a fresh perspective on your own work and their work as well. Then there is this Cumberland Lodge conference where it is like a stay in house conference. So Cumberland Lodge is like 190 minutes bus ride away from London, and it's an educational. I don't know if it's an institution, but it's like think of a conference in a castle, and you get free accommodation and free food for 3 days. That is pretty much the Cumberland Lodge conference. So yeah, that was a great experience. I made a lot of new friends because you're not just presenting papers there, you were also staying with those people and having dinner and lunch and whatnot. Then there's also the Houses of Parliament visit, where you get to visit you get to visit Westminster and meet parliamentarians and talk to them, ask some questions maybe. So when I visited, it was when the parliament was suspended. So technically, there were no parliamentarians because it was between the election cycle. So yeah, I did meet ex-parliamentarians or to-be parliamentarians, but yeah, it was very fun and it was very eye-opening and engaging. So these are just like an example of what Commonwealth offers apart from the financial assistance that of the tuition fee and the stipend. Can you please move to the next slide? Just to give you some pictures, here I am with the Commonwealth Commissioner, and so this is in the Westminster Abbey, and then below is me with some friends that I made at Cumberland Lodge during the PhD conference. Can you move to the next slide? And yeah, this is me again at the Cumberland Lodge. Sorry for the narcissism, but yeah, these are the only pictures that I had. So yeah, so it's a pretty good opportunity and a great opportunity for networking. Can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah, so that was the boring academic part. I mean, not boring, but very important, but still coming to the more fun part. So, being in the UK, you get access to a lot of free museums, and all these museums make you feel like home because being from a Commonwealth country, you do see a lot of stuff from your own country. So, you feel like home at times at these museums. So, then there are libraries. So, not just the library at your own in your university, but let's say the British National Library, which is the largest, I think the largest library in UK at least. Then you also have the, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there's a library in Oxford, which is the second largest library. It starts with a B. And yeah, so you get access to all these wonderful resources. Any book you want, you can get it issued mostly for free in most cases because you have a university ID card. Then you get to experience a lot of diverse culture and food. So I don't think there is any kind of food which does not exist in London. It won't be the best version of that food, but you can still find that food because London is so multicultural and diverse, and UK in general, and because it is so small, even if you are, let's say, in Oxford or Cambridge or in any other city, it's between 1 to 4 hour train ride away. So it's extremely diverse, extremely fun. So not just academically, I do think that apart from academics, it's a very enriching experience at a personal level as well. Then you get to travel a lot because Commonwealth does give you a travel allowance of £600. So there is that. Then it also at times funds some small trips. I think me and Excel we went to Oxford from London on the bus. So yeah, so that is also there. So you get to travel a lot, explore a lot of history, and explore a lot of cities if you want. You get friends from all corners of the world. So I think by now I might have at least, if not friends, but I have acquaintances from every continent by now, except for Antarctica because I don't know a penguin. But and yeah, you get to walk a lot, so be ready for that. So I think there's a lot of walking. My average per day was 12,000 steps in London. So definitely lots of walking. Can you move to the next slide? Yeah. So just to give, so this is Adam Smith. So Adam Smith is known as the father of economics, and this is his statue in Edinburgh. The joke is that he said the market forces adjust because of an invisible hand. So yeah, I'm here. I am doing an invisible handshake with Adam Smith. But okay, next slide, please. Yeah. I'll just talk about some challenges. So weather people say is terrible there, but depends what kind of weather you are used to experiencing. For me, it was not terrible because I'm used to experiencing more than 50 degrees Celsius of heat. So I'd rather take the London cold over the extreme heat. Then there are some culture shocks, maybe if, but I don't think they are significant enough. It's very pretty much very accommodating. Cooking is very important. Definitely learn to cook something, and unless you want to live like on beans and toast and canned food, which I won't recommend. So cooking is extremely important. Do learn cooking if you haven't already. Pack some layers, or maybe do not pack some layers because you get a warm clothing allowance as well, which you can spend on a good jacket which will last you, or a good coat which will last you the winters. So it's up to you. Like for I did not pack a lot. I just bought it from UK, but it's also more expensive in the UK. So take a call. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. So some recommendations during and after the scholarship. So during the scholarship, do network like it's a full-time job. So um, even if you like, be shameless and upfront. If you are at a conference and you see 10 people, just walk up to them, talk to them, tell them about your research. Think of yourself as a salesman trying to sell your own research or your own self, because you do not know where you will find your next potential employer or next potential collaborator. So just talk to people. It's always nice, and usually people at conferences are very accommodating. Do not get into the practice of only talking to the people you already know at the conference. That defeats the whole purpose of it. You are there to meet new people. The people you already know, you can already organize a get together or hang out. Do seek a balance between research, travel, and social life. I do not believe in dedicating 100% of your time to research or studies. So travel, make friends, have fun. That's the bottom line. Um, After your scholarship, it is very important that you use whatever skills that you develop to network and to collaborate with new people and still stay in touch with your institution. So let's say if you're a PhD student or even a master's student, if you are still in touch with your some professors there, some administration there, then you might be more likely to get a PhD scholarship if you want to pursue there, or maybe a job there. Depends on what field of what field you're coming from, whether you want an admin job or maybe like a research manager or you just never know. So it is always better to be in touch with your with some professors at your host institution. And the last point would be that please do make sure that you are not the only beneficiary from this scholarship. So even during the course of this scholarship and by the time the scholarship ends and after it, make sure that you try to benefit people, not just at a macro level that let's say if you are a policy practitioner or a bureaucrat, one way that you can do it is, oh, okay, through better policies, better policy implementation, etc. That is definitely there, but also at a micro level. So if you know of certain marginalized backgrounds in your country or certain people in your country who do not have access to these kind of scholarships, do talk to them, try to reach out to them. Consider this your own responsibility that you at least help one or two people personally with their essays and whatnot once you have completed the scholarship, because the idea is to put more people who cannot afford into these kind of programs so they can have a better life, they can have better education. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Satari. And lots of things reflected me. So, and I will just go back to mention the things you said about Cumberland. We had several Cumberland. Cumberland is a place you can look it up, and you get many visits to such places. So the Commonwealth will usually give you a treat like a weekend. And yes. Yeah, Martins, you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
I just want to say that although I'm a Chevening scholar, right, I love the Commonwealth Scholarship. So for those of you who are here who are considering the Commonwealth Scholarship, I would say definitely do it. The reason is you see that trip that you just said and those stipends for traveling, we don't have it in common in Chevening, right? I envy that, right? So guys, give it your shot. Give it your shot. That's just what I want to say. Thank you. And
Yeah,
well, I love the part where you had to do fun with the Adam Smith at Edinburgh Assad. Well done.
yeah, thank
All
you so
right.
much. And yeah, it's also, yeah, most of the things you get to visit, like I know Commonwealth scholars, we had time with the king. You spent like 4 minutes each person with the king. So things like that, you might, yeah, if that is your like on record. Also, if you go for events, as he rightly mentioned, try and be shameless about it. Get pictures and also post and tag them, because when you they might not remember, but if you post and tag them, there is an online record that you've kept somewhere that you can always fall back to. And then they always and you find out that most of these people here are very nice, unlike what you might think. But almost everyone here are very nice and polite. Okay, not to waste our time, and we'll move on to our next speaker. And she is the expert, and she's going to take us through creating a good profile. And I'm going to welcome Andino Bonuko, currently pursuing her PhD. So please unmute yourself and start us with your wisdom. Thank
Yeah,
you.
hi, can you confirm that you can hear me, please?
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I must say that before I get into it. Thank you so much, Martins and Excel, for having me. And Assad, thank you so much for taking us through that. And Mr. Martins is going to come for my head, and I don't even know him, but go for Commonwealth, guys. Like, I can't say it enough, honestly. Like, run away from Chetney and go for Commonwealth. It's like the absolute best thing you can do. All right, so I'll share my screen. So, Excel, can you confirm when you see my screen?
Okay. Yes, we can see your screen.
Is it on slideshow?
Yes, it's on slide.
All right, so hi everyone. It's really great to be here. I have to say that again. My name is Andy, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD. And today I'll be talking about how to maximize your portfolio for a successful application. However, I'm only just going to focus on CV because we can't touch on everything today. And I know we're applying for the Commonwealth, and what you really need is your CV to be great. So yeah, at the end of this, we'll go through the introduction and then the core components of a CV, and I'm sure we all know all of that, but just to reinforce. And then I'll show you like some like sample CV format, my CV, and then tell you about some common pitfalls that you should absolutely avoid. And then I'll be open to taking whatever questions that you have at the end of the session. Please write down all the questions you have, whatever it is, perhaps, I don't know, just write down all the questions you have. So before we get into it, just to let you know that your portfolio is your storyteller. We know that Commonwealth, you have to write lots and lots and lots of essays, and this is one of it. And especially if you're aware of what Commonwealth does, you have to apply to Commonwealth and also apply to school. So for some schools, they may not ask for essays, just your personal statements, I think. However, they usually ask for your CV. So it's very important that your CV is who's making this sound? Yeah, it's very important that your CV is telling your story because you're not there. And I put it here that your CV is your personal brand. It really is because you won't be there. The selection panel for your school, because you don't have to submit your CV to Commonwealth, they'll be looking at that, looking at your personal statement. So you have to make it very unforgettable. Like someone has to look at your CV and it's very different from 1,000 others. You know the number of people who are applying. So you have to really put some thoughts and some work into this. And I won't dwell so much on LinkedIn because you will see how to include your link, or I'm sure you already know how to include your LinkedIn on your CV. However, just to put out here, before you include your LinkedIn profile on your CV, please try to ensure that your LinkedIn profile is worth taking a look at. I mean, don't put any link there that someone goes down, they're like, boy, why did I even come here? So maybe update your profile, put your certifications, your awards, your experiences, the skills that you have on LinkedIn, like really update it. If you don't know what a sample LinkedIn, like a perfect LinkedIn profile should be, go to Excel's page, just search for Excel and look at what Excel has done. I won't say go to my page. Excel is your go-to person. All right, so this is the components. Your CV may or should, depends, include the following. I won't talk about all of this now because I'll go through everything. So the first is your contact details. This is at the top of your CV, and I'm sure we all have this. If you don't have this, please, you absolutely should, because gone are the days where you have like I don't know, I can't remember what those CVs used to look like, but this is like the best thing where you have your name. And I would say do not put the address as I put here. You could just have Chester, England, or Chester, UK. Like don't put your what's this called now? Postcode is not really necessary. And don't put 31 package group. I think this is an old CV I used. But put your contact details and they should be hyperlinked. So if you click on this, my email address, it takes you straight to my mail. And then if you need to email me or something, and then you want to take a trip to my LinkedIn profile, you could just click on this link and then it takes you to the LinkedIn profile in case anyone wants to contact you, or it just makes your CV different from every other person. I'm sure we all have this, but just to reinforce in case people don't. I mean, that's the point of the webinar. So the next thing is like a short bio. This is not an absolute must, but if you wish to, you could have this here, especially if you're applying for like a research position, which for masters is essentially. So you write why I used this, I think I was applying for, I'm not really sure what I was applying for, but in the ad, they said something like looking for a motivated student, a highly motivated, whatnot. So I thought, oh, how am I going to put that? Because I mean, your CV would not have keywords like this. It may have in some areas, but I just needed that to really shine through. So remember to always shine light on things that your department, they're looking for. So that's why I put like a short bio, but this should be very specific to your department, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever research. For instance, I was interested in precision nutrition, population nutrition, like all these things. I'm in nutrition, so you're going to hear a lot of that. So the next thing is your research interest. So this is very important because they want to see your fit. Like the selection panel want to see if you actually fit with what's going on in the department. So you want to put your research interest, and there should be how do I put this? There should be similar. I mean, I could have put public health nutrition here and still put clinical nutrition, but it should show that you know what you want out of life essentially. So don't put two different research interests because I like what is she looking for. So you could put don't put one, maybe two, three, or four, but it should all align. So the next thing is your education. You want to put whether you have a BSc, everyone should have a BSc. And you also want to put if you have like a master's degree. For Commonwealth, oh, well, that depends on if that will improve your application. I think the next speaker will talk about that if putting a master's degree is important. But everything that would potentially improve your application package, please put it on here. So there's something I'll show you in the next slide, which is I did this presentation last night. So it's just like repeating everything again. So there's something I'll show you how to like put links. For instance, I didn't do that here because I didn't really have time to edit this. But for instance, a wise man who is there once told me. So if you have like Master of Science, for instance, Public Health Nutrition, University of Chester, you have like a link here. That's what I mean. So I'll just use this as an example. So here we have prizes and awards, and you can see view here, view here, view here. So these are just links to verify that, I mean, you're not making this up. And away from that, it also makes your CV very different from every other person because, I mean, I could pick random CVs and not have these links on there. So it may be worth taking a look at putting these links on there. For instance, I'm saying I got awarded the Commonwealth Shared Master Scholarship. I could say view here. So if you click on the link, it takes you to that document that says Andy was or a common, I mean is because once a scholar, always a scholar according to them. So you click on the best graduating students in what's not, and I mean just give them everything. Don't allow anyone doubt. No one has any reason to doubt. You say you're putting all these things. You're saying view that like, oh, this person sounds credible. So that's why I would say go for putting links on there. So the next thing you would put, oh, and I must mention that it must not be something like best graduating this. I'm sure if you were recognized for something, I mean, Commonwealth needs a lot of reflection. So it's not something that you would have been called out, if you were recognized for something, if you were just appreciated for something. It just depends on how you word it, really. So don't say you don't have prizes and awards. But if you don't have, that's fine. However, I don't think it has to be something very, very huge, like best graduating student in something. It doesn't always have to be that. So something in your church that still speaks to your character. It be something you did for community. Perhaps you volunteered and they give you something. Just put those things. It's just about showing that you're very credible. So the next thing is peer-reviewed publications and Excel, can you still hear me? I can't see anyone because I'm sharing my screen. Can you confirm that you can still hear
Yes,
me?
yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay,
You're on
great.
track.
Yeah.
You
So the
we
next
can
thing
hear
is,
you. We can hear you.
oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So the next thing is the peer-reviewed publications, and this is usually a problem for most people, which is why I put this arrow here to show that you don't need to, I mean, you should be, if you want to work in research and academics, you should be looking to publish, I mean, systematic reviews, the littlest of all things as that. However, if you don't have that, you don't have to kill yourself. In Nigeria, for people in Nigeria, I can speak for Nigeria because I'm Nigerian, obviously. So for people in Nigeria, you can put your undergrad project because I know we all write projects, yeah. So it doesn't have to be something that you've published. The only thing is you won't have peer-reviewed publications here. You can just have publications, yes, or writing samples. So you put it, you see this one down, Apanuku 2018. I haven't and I hadn't published it when I did my Commonwealth, and I didn't even put this, I only put it on my CV. Yeah, and it doesn't even look like, oh, if someone looks at this, they don't immediately think it's not published because I mean it's in the department and I did so much work on it. I would say put a link, but like I said last night, for who were there, I know that again in Nigeria, you may not be during your undergrad, you may not exactly put your best forward, your best foot forward. So I won't say put that because they may open it and are appalled by what you have there. You don't want to put something that doesn't shine light on you. You can just leave it as this. But if you did a pretty decent job, I would recommend putting view here. So if someone opens on it, clicks the link, they'll see whatever it is that you did. So the next thing, relevant writing samples. This is similar to publications. However, this, I mean, just to showcase, especially in the UK and depending on the course that you're going for, they want to see that you have writing skills. You can write beyond just saying I write or I'm good at writing. So if you put writing samples on there, it really shows, oh, okay, yeah, she actually does know how to write. And please do not put ridiculous things like, again, really, really shine light on the things that will improve your application package. If you open any of these documents, I mean, by my standard, I'll say that agreed. So that's why I put it on here. But there are also other writing samples I have that would not even go close to my CV because if anyone opens it, I like this guy is not serious with that life. So yeah, just really put things that if someone opens whatever it is, it can shine light on your application, especially if you have things related to your field. Submitting this, I mean, I had a few days submitting my applications for my PhD because my CV was really great. I'm sorry, but it was. So if you have writing samples that fit to what the department is doing, you can put that and put a short description like it is on here. So if someone opens that, they really see, oh, you hit the ground running or whatever. So the next thing would be relevant poster presentations. And again, this may be a problem. However, I want you to get thinking about your seminar presentations in school because I know that in Nigeria, again, I'm sorry that I don't know so much about other countries. In Nigeria, we have something we call seminar presentation, and then you did the presentation, you stood in front of the class, that's still a presentation. So you don't even have to call it poster presentation in your case if it wasn't a poster presentation. You can just call it relevant presentations, and it must be relevant because that's why it's there. I mean, don't put anything ridiculous. I'm all for putting things that actually shine light on your application. And you can put view here. For instance, I know most people may have I don't know if Excel is going to come for me, but if you no longer have that presentation, but you did it, you could quickly not make something up, but like create something based on what you did and put it there. They really want to see if you're good with PPT in this case, like if you're good with that. So if you click on view here, you won't see me standing there and making presentation in any of these things. It's just you're viewing like my poster, like what I presented. So that's what's there. So you don't need to really, really get so bothered. If you don't have anything, that's fine. I'm just trying to give you everything that can improve your application package. So the next thing is the research experience, which I must mention is very, very important, especially for master's. In fact, even for PhD or anything really, because people want to see that you have that kind of experience. And I didn't bother putting anything that will maybe attempt to intimidate anyone. I put something I did in Nigeria, which was my undergrad research project in my BSc 2019, way, way back. Yeah, it's way, way back. So yeah, so what you really want to highlight is when I did my Commonwealth application, and it may be same for others, I had it like pros. I didn't have this PowerPoint, but it might be worth making it like bullet points, sorry. It might be worth making bullet points so that anyone looks at it and at first glance, you don't need to stress anyone. Like let your application package not stress anyone. So someone looks at this and they're like, oh, okay, she did this, conducted extensive literature, whatever it is you did, just really, really highlight it, really, really shine light and maybe think about what they're doing in the department as well. If you can use some keywords, like this literature, what's not, CSPSS, composite. I mean, let's kind of have keywords that you can get from the website. The person coming up, I'm sure, will talk about, how you can really, really use the website of the school to improve your application package. But that's a research experience. You don't need to have done something so big. Like if you don't have any research experience, just really think about your undergrad project. That's usually something that a lot of people fall back on. So the next thing is your work experience. Notice that that's different from research. So your work experience, what have you done? Really, really reflect, honestly. Put everything. I know that yesterday people were asking me, oh, I'm a little worried because it's supposed to be 2 pages. No, this is not your resume. Like, this is common. You're applying for the Commonwealth. Put everything that you possibly can that can improve your application. It's nothing ridiculous that will make someone go like, what is this now? So now your work experience, what have you done? And if you have feedback, yeah, you can ask for feedback. Those people that are really kind, you can just ask, oh, hi, can you maybe just give me feedback on that work we did together or whatever. So I have this feedback so that if you click, even mistakenly click on it, you see that Auntie is such an amazing person. You get so it improves the application package as well. Anything that makes you stand out from the thousands and thousands of people applying to your school, because trust me, and they keep reducing it. I think for Chester now is about 4 slots. Last year was 8. So the competition is really, really high, and you really, really want to shine light on all these things. So the next thing is teaching experience. Just as because I was applying for PhD, however, it still works for masters because again you're making it different from others, especially if you're saying that you're interested in research and academics, which I keep preaching. You have to put that you have experience in that. You have experience, working in the lab, field work or whatever. However, you also have experience teaching. So you put that and list that. What I want to mention here is really, really quantify. Yeah, so don't just say contributed to doing this. You mentioned the number of people, how did they impact? Like really, really put those things that make your application stand out is what I would say. So I put here over 500 undergrad students, and then I put here designed course content over 25 students. It doesn't have to be big. You did what's that thing in NYSC called? You did NYSC, and for most people we teach. So it's not here, but the next thing I put was probably my NYSC. I just put the school and I put what I did. So it's just how you're able to show this thing that makes it, oh, she's doing well. You don't have to think, oh, that thing I did, it wasn't so much. Like I didn't do anything there. Everything you've done, really, really think about how you can improve. God, I hope I'm not time. All right, so the next thing is your voluntary and leadership experience. This just solidifies what you've done for your Commonwealth. However, since your school, they don't have access to your Commonwealth application. I hope I'm correct. So they have access to your CV. So you want to put that you've been doing something with your life. You've been helping people. But why should you be helped? Why do you want Commonwealth to pay all that money for you to come to the UK? So you want to put your voluntary and leadership experience. So please ignore that university rep. I just look at this co-founder, Life Nigeria. This was when I was in Nigeria. So do some, it doesn't even have to be co-founder. Perhaps you worked with an NGO, you put it there, volunteer, yeah, Life Nigeria, and then you list the things that you did. Don't say it's small. People can look at your CV and say, this one is packaging. It is, of course. And you have to accept that it is. So don't say, oh, that thing was too small. I can't put it. Put everything because you don't know if that's something that will be the deciding factor for you. So put everything you possibly can that can shine light on what you're doing. That's what I will say. So the next, I hope it's almost the last before Excel comes for me. The next thing is professional development and training. And I have to say that it's pretty important. Like people want to see again that you're not waiting for anyone to come save you. You're actually doing something in your little corner. You're taking courses, you're reading, you're improving yourself. So it's really easy now. You can go to Coursera. I'm sure we all have the certificates. I'm just saying it for others because anyone applying for Commonwealth must have at least 10 certificates down on the person's CV. But if you don't, please go to Coursera. Although the time may be a little limited now because you need to apply for financial aid because those courses can be quite expensive. So you can take courses, UNICEF, depending on what you're doing, go online, just take courses and then put view here, please. Like it's very important just to show that you're credible. They may not even open these things, these links, but it just shows that you're giving them everything they want. If you want to be sure that I really did take this course, view here. I mean, that's right there. If you want to view, that's on you. If you don't want to view, that's on you. But then you're seeing it and it's improving my application package. So I would say put that there. So the second to the last thing I hope, yeah, it is professional membership. Again, please disregard the first and second one. I was a member of the Nutrition Society in Nigeria, which doesn't really take a lot, honestly. You just pay. I think I wasn't even inducted. I just paid to be part of my state, and then it's on there because I'm a member. So you can put that if you have like a certificate to show that, because some of them actually do give certifications. Again, you can put view here. So finally, the technical competencies. You want to show that you're good with maybe Microsoft packages, and you also want to show that you're good with these packages like SPSS for data analytics, because in the UK, as far as I know, you're going to conduct like a research at the end. Everything culminates to a research, and then you're going to analyze. So they want to know you know these things. You don't have to be excellent at it, is what I would say. But if you have a decent, like an adequate knowledge of it, you can still put that there. It also improves your application, because it does improve the application. All right, so I guess that's all. Now I'm just going to talk about common pitfalls. We have time for questions. We have questions. So the first thing I would say is lack of customization. Like really, really, you know that people apply. I applied for just one school during my Commonwealth. However, you apply to so many. So you want to ensure that your research interest actually aligns with the school that you're submitting it to. Don't use one generic, like even though it is not as generic as generic as it sounds, but don't use one. The research interest is very different from what's happening in the department. Like really, really look at that. It should really fit with what's going on in the department. And then irrelevant information. I don't even have to dwell, much on that. There's some things you can't put there. You can't put age. You can't put any of those ridiculous things that you did not see on my CV. So really, really disembark from that. And poor formatting. No one wants to open your CV and everything is just running. We're having like a field day on your CV. So yeah, it's highly recommended that you submit PDF version. However, before you even change it to PDF, ensure everything is well. The lines, I know some of us love the CVs with lines. Ensure that the lines are not crooked, or really, really check that everything is great, because one thing can just be like, oh no, that's the girl that had this. Oh no, that's the girl. And then next thing is spelling. No matter how fantastic a person, no matter your 2-1, no matter your first class, and I'm not saying that Commonwealth doesn't take anything less than that. But no matter how fantastic you are, if someone opens your CV, your profile, that's you, that's your brand, and they're saying spelling and grammatical errors, you better believe that you're not going anywhere. So really, really look at that. I know we're overwhelmed. I totally understand. So much things, so many things to do, but really, really look at that. And then remember I said quantify, you really have to quantify. So don't ignore the impact, even if it's one person. Someone said yesterday in the meeting that even if it's one person in development, that's really huge. So you want to put that, even if it's one person, that it led to one person, maybe it improved her one person. Don't put her one, but like, that improved the person's academic performance or whatever. Really, really quantify so that they actually get what you're talking about. And of course, don't put false information. That's between you and your God. All right. So the final thing is just to show you what typical presentation formats would be. So I started with 2. That's why I left Nigeria with. You have the lines, big, great, fantastic. It really shows everything. However, when I was applying for my PhD, I kind of switched to the second, because I was thinking of which one everyone is using. I'm not saying, yesterday everyone loved to. So I'm not saying to is bad. I'm just saying if you wish to switch things up, but don't, maybe don't, or maybe do if you're that bold. If you want to, if you like risk, you can switch it up. So why I liked one was because at first glance, you can see my dates on the side, and then you can see field-based, lab-based. I was really showing on the side academic. I'm working in an academic institution. Like if I'm doing the work experience, I didn't put that on here. So you see workplace, you see something like academic institution, research institution, government institution. So at first glance, people see the data, not just the dates, they also see the vast experience I have in different fields. The second one is still fantastic. I still use it on a very good day. And I'm not saying, I'm just showing you what it could potentially look like. However, I really, really look out for grammatical errors, spelling errors, formatting issues, and what's not. So before I go and take questions, just put in the comment section which is your favorite, the 1 or 2, and why you prefer it, just to ensure that everyone is listening to me and get everyone involved. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you're still hearing me, and that will be the end. Thank you so much, Excel.
Thank you, Andino. That's really great.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
think
Martin, go ahead.
I would just say that my favorite of the two resumes you dropped was the one on the right, not the one on the left. And my reason is I like word-based resumes that are really simple and straightforward, not really design and all that. So that's my bias, right?
Who is that? Martins, is that you?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Anything that works, really. Anything that works.
All right. Anyway, but they were both great. I just need to pick a side.
That's fine. I'm sure everyone will go for two. Oh, everyone is going for two. If I'm making my one feel bad, they're both mine, but my one is feeling bad right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Excel. Over.
All right. Thank you so much. Andy will try to answer some questions in the chat, but also at the end of the call, once we have the final speaker, so that we don't run over time answering questions. If we've not answered any question in the chat, we will bring them up again just to have them on record that we'll answer them. And just before I welcome the final speaker, I just want to pick up some things you mentioned. On achievement, you said something about achievement. So highlighting your achievement. One thing I did tell some of my mentees is to if you have in your undergrad and you have courses that you got an A, and maybe you did very well and you had a good score, you can highlight that as an achievement. For Commonwealth, it goes, you can put it graduating top 2% or top 5% of your class and put that in your achievement, because Commonwealth will probably give you 250 words. So if you think 250 words is a long list, so maybe you might put the main achievements, your big, oh, I spoke with an alien today, and that is my achievement. But then when you're done with those big ones, you also want to not leave that space hanging, because when you leave that space hanging, it's that space that someone else is going to fill up, and that might be what will pick the other person over you. It might be that church program that you went for, and then maybe the Archbishop gave you a handshake. You can put a handshake from a handshake from the Archbishop, and
Excel, why are you making me
honestly,
laugh, please? Why are you making me laugh?
I'm
I knew
telling
that's
you,
kind of thing that would be on your resume. I knew that that's the kind of thing you're going to put on your resume. A handshake from the Archbishop. Archbishop of Canterbury. Anyway.
let me so Martins, let me tell you something that happened. So there's someone who got in, and I was speaking to. When we went to Cumberland, I was speaking to, because your essays are reviewed by the commissioners. They review the essays, and when we were speaking, some things he mentioned while we were playing tennis, and he was like, "Oh, because I was just curious to find out what actually is good in essays," and it was like, "Oh, like experience most things people ignore. That yeah, sometimes people leave spaces hanging, but those spaces is what someone else would just put." So this might not be in your CV. You might not want to put this in your CV, but in your application, the application will give you one full section to put your achievement. So in your CV, please do not put that I danced with the president, but in your application, you should put it definitely that if you had a conversation with someone that's prominent, it might be an achievement for you, because and you have a space. Commonwealth gives you one full, it's like an essay, write all your achievements. So you might want to put that. But then experiences, yeah, memberships. The only thing I'll also mention is memberships. She mentioned something good about your undergraduate memberships. Like I know for engineers, we had this undergraduate engineering arm. So you might Commonwealth Masters is closed. The shed is open now, and it will be closing in December 12th for person asking. But then you might want to join all these other organizations like OSHA. Um, like safety and health organizations. Some are paid, some are just like 10,000, 15,000. Some are free. You might want to start with the free ones, but yeah, all of that. And the final thing I'll mention is certifications. There are many ones. Coursera is very good, but it might take you time now. But also you should budget for Coursera, because you might want to use this one, because if you're just hearing about Commonwealth now, then you're most likely attending this webinar to prepare yourself for next year. But I would still advise you should apply for this one and use it to understand the entire process. And you might be lucky and you just use your entire training process and enter. So yeah, it might work. But you have things like YALI, you have UNICEF, you have UNFCCC. They have many free sites. There is even this one from Elsevier, or is it else? I don't know how they pronounce it, but yeah, Elsevier publishing. They have a training that it's just like 1 hour or so, and they give you Elsevier. They give you a certificate for training to do research. So you just watch their videos and you get certificates for doing that, like 1, 2 hours. So that is quite short, and you get certificates for that from a very good publishing company. So yeah, and I'll just move on to our final speaker. But before I do that, let me just share my screen just to, okay. Can we see my screen? Can you confirm if you can see my screen, please? Yeah, I
So
can't hear
yes,
anyone.
yes.
Okay, okay.
I
Yeah.
was muted, so yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to welcome our final speaker. And yeah, we know that some of this is just an overview, and we'll go behind the scenes to think of ways to, if we can narrow down focus. But this is just like the introduction of everything, just to give you a highlight of the entire process. So now about the essays, while we cannot cover all the 11 essays, but there are critical ones that you might use, and also you have millions of resources on YouTube. So the first thing, before I start mentoring anyone, the first thing I ask you is, how many videos have you watched on YouTube? You send me the link. If you've not watched over 10 YouTube videos, like, and yeah, we'll not have that conversation until I'm sure that you actually are not coming empty. So but then we have someone here. He's currently studying right now, and Shegun Bamidele. So welcome, and please unmute yourself, and the floor
Yeah.
is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much as well. Thank you, Assad. I think he left already. Thank you, Adino. Thank you, Martins, and then thank you everyone for joining this section. I know it is not convenient for some of you. It's probably 9 p.m. in Nigeria. No, sorry, 8 p.m. in Nigeria. So, but yes, we just have to do this. I mean, nothing good comes that easy. All right. So, Um, to reintroduce myself, I'm Shegun Bamidele, and I'm a Commonwealth scholar at the University of Bristol. So I will just be briefly taking you through some of the essays you would have come across for those of you that have started your application, and for those of you that are still contemplating whether you should start or not. So this is just like an opportunity for you to know what you are being asked for, and this is just from my own perspective. And like as I said, there are a lot of resources out there on YouTube, even on some websites where you can also get additional tips, probably samples. The most important thing is just get the relevant information you need and then be able to work with them. So without wasting much of our time, so I will just go to development in part one. So um, one of the questions they will ask is that you should tell them how your proposed study relates to development issues at the global, national, and local level, and also which the subsection B, how the development issues connect to your chosen CS sector and the wider sector. For those of you, of course, before you apply for this thing, you're already a graduate. So you seeing subsection A and B simply means they are like two sub questions under a general one question, which means you have to answer the two. You understand? So don't be so focused on just one that you fail to address the other parts, or you just ended up not even addressing the two. So just the same way when you write exams, those theory exams, you want to also know there are four, there's A, there's a B, there's a C. You address them individually, whether you are going to use a paragraph or whatever means you use. So it's the same thing here. So you start with the first subsection, which talk about development issues at the global, national, and local level. And the tips I gave here was that you start from a global perspective of the problem. Of course, some of the problems we are facing, either at the local level or at the national level, are some of them are problems that are also not peculiar to that particular geographic region. And there are problems that if you dig deep, if you research deeply, you will realize that they are global problems as well. So it just makes sense to start from there to emphasize how that problem is also a global problem. Then you relate it back to your national or at the local perspective. You also use statistics to support your arguments, more like the statistic are your evidence. So you're not just forming things up. You are really showing why that is a problem. And the only way to prove that something is a problem is by showing statistics that, okay, yes, this is what is happening, and this, and also use verifiable stats, please. Don't just form anything up or just quote things that are not cannot be verified. So you want to make sure that wherever you're getting your statistics from are from reputable organizations like maybe WHO, UNICEF, UNDP, whatsoever. It could also be national organizations. Yeah. And then you can also set academic sources, yes, to emphasize the problem or to introduce solutions. I mean, one thing with citing academic sources is that it just shows that you've read widely. You understand, you are reading or trying to develop critical thinking ability and a sense of independent thought in that particular academic area. Because many of those that will read your essays are in academia. So you even quote an academic source, it impresses them. It shows that yes, you are reading. So you are spending time trying to get to know things or trends in that particular field. And then finally, link your idea to a CSC team or SDG. Now, I use the word or because sometimes it is often difficult use linking the both. I should have used and because they say how does the development issues connect to your choosing CSC team and the wider sector. So you could want to relate it to a team, maybe strengthening resilience and response to crises or science and technology for development, or an SDG, depending on which one the word count allows you to mention. Just make sure that you include it. So, having said that, I'll show you a sample and how the sample fits into all of these steps. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So, okay. So, the first one talks about.
Sorry, Shegun,
Yeah.
did you mention the word count?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, so the word count is, I think, the first one is 200 words. Yeah, development in part one is 200 words. Yeah, I think so. 200 words. So, having said that, so I'm going to read out this and we'll go back to the tips that we will look at how it fits into other tips. So, first, it says climate risks have been identified as some of the greatest environmental challenges of this age. And this is a proposition made by the World Economic Forum. And then in Africa, the World Economic Forum in 2021 postulated that climate change is a key cause of food insecurity, poverty, and displacement in Africa. And likewise, in Nigeria, flooding has affected 0.2 million people, blah, 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 blah. So what is statistics? So let's just go back. So firstly, I tried to talk about it from the global perspective, and I quoted the World Economic Forum as the source. So it's not just something I'm saying from what I think I understand. No, it is something I'm quoting a reputable organization. It is a postulation made by them that yes, this is what is happening right now. So it is not just me. So I'm trying to prove how that, because the course was MSc Climate Risk and Society. So I'm trying to prove how climate risk is a global problem and why it is not just from me, but from a reputable organization. And I link it to Africa, then to Nigeria. You understand? So that is it. So then I talk about how this problem has influenced my intention to pursue a master's in, okay, this one is global sustainability solutions. So there's another course on climate risk for that. So this one is global sustainability solutions. And then through this course, now this is me now talking about how these problems at the global, regional, and then the local level has influenced my intention to study this course. and what do I stand to gain, and how can I apply what I stand to gain to find the solution. So that is what, through this course, I will gain a critical understanding, blah, blah, blah. Furthermore, I will gain a good understanding. Then this would ensure I can learn from effective case study of, then all these ones are just me talking about how the course will help me. Then can you scroll down a little, please? I just want to show you guys how this addressed the part 2 of the development impact. So scroll down a little, please. Additionally, this course would facilitate the identification of the relevant actors, technologies who have a crucial role to play in addressing climate risk. This would ensure vital collaboration and support towards mitigating climate risk, thereby leveraging science and technology for development and achieving sustainable development. So you see, this is the CSC team for this course, Science and Technology for Development. And then the SDG goals I mentioned before I started yesterday. So you see, I've been the major parts of the SDG, first of all, talk about the subsection 1A, while the latter part talk about subsection 1B, which is how this course now relates to the CSC team and the wider sector, which is the SDG goals. So you can see that this particular development in part 1, whoever is trying to check whether you are talking off point or not, we know that, okay, is this person has addressed what you have asked? You've met the checkpoint. Did you answer the question? Yes, you've answered it. Now, how strong are your responses? Are they supported by evidences? Did they show that you really have a good knowledge of what you are saying? Are they realistic? All those kind of things. Then you can now start looking at all those kind of things. So you are not talking off points. So you understand? So that is that about the development impact 1. So please, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So now that you have been able to propose, you've been able to identify a solution and a problem, and you've proposed what you feel is a solution to that problem, and you've also talked about how it fits into the development team. Now they want to know how do you intend to apply your new skills and qualification when you return home? Okay, fine. Let's say we've awarded you this scholarship. So how will you intend to apply it? Now, one thing about this question is they give you, I think, 100 words. Yes, just 100 words. So it's a summary. You don't expect it to be very detailed. You just expect it to be a summary of what you plan to do. There's another session where you expand on it later. So, but for now, it's just a summary. So the first paragraph, that's what I say in the first paragraph, just summarize the skills you get from your study or scholarship. Just summarize it. Yes, I know there are a lot of skills some of you have planned to gain, and you want to explain how you will gain those skills, but because you have 100 words, just summarize it. Then summarize the specific actions you plan to take when you return. Be very specific and less detailed due to what kind of limitation you have just 100 words. So what is the specific actions you plan to take? You don't have enough details to mention or expand on them. So just summarize them. And then the third thing you should not conclude with a strategy or methodology for the implementation of your idea. Now, you may wish to reference an existing strategy if what counts permit. In other words, it's not compulsory you come up with something new. You can just reference something that has already been done. Just that the difference is that probably the geographic region or location you now want to apply it. But again, reference them. You understand? So you don't just come up with something like you're the first person to design it. I think also referencing them shows you know what you are saying. It shows that yes, you understand what is going on and that you are aware of the solution. So you saying you want to replicate it here shows that indeed you know what you are doing, particularly when you are referencing solutions from reputable organizations or world renowned institutions. So let's go to an example of how an essay fits into this. So please, next slide. So again, now, so this is this. Now, I said, after my study, I expect to have honed my skills in the identification of the relevant actor. So I just summarize it. And there are a lot of skills I actually would gain, but I know that a major focus of that course is that in in the identification of relevant factors that can bring about sustainability solutions. So I just summarize this as me owning my skills in the identification of relevant factors. And then as soon as I return to Nigeria, I will partner with Mr. Mushokwe Koka. So this is like a close friend while I was with Yali Network. So I mentioned his name, and then I mentioned the program we work on. So I have already researched about the particular program the UK government is doing in Nigeria, and I aligned it with my own proposed solution. Then I also talk about my strategy. Now, this is the third part. So I thought about setting up climate action group in some primary schools in the state of Nigeria, and that this club will be responsible for ensuring Nigerian schools have climate education in their curriculum. And I put in bracket a United Framework climate change convention goal. So in other words, this is something a reputable body like the United Nations Framework Climate Change Convention is planning. And sadly, not every country has subscribed to it. Nigeria is one of those countries. I don't think there's a climate education in our school curriculum. But me, I'm not saying that, okay, this is something that the UNFSCC has in mind, but Nigeria is not doing. So I plan to set up climate change clubs in some of these schools, and they'll be responsible for educating Nigerian students or pupils on climate education. So that will make Nigeria one of the few countries that now have climate education in their curriculum. Simple as that. So it is not really like I brought up the idea. It is like an idea that is existing, but not every country have implemented. And so I thought of, okay, how can I implement it? So in my only tool, how can I ensure that at least Nigeria implement it? We start from somewhere and then we see how it goes. So that is just it. So just come up with a strategy and implementation. Look at what action plans of some of these reputable organizations on how to solve some problems, and then look about how you can also apply it and then reference them. And if you have an idea that you think can work, that is just from you entirely, nobody has ever done it, it's also fine. Just make sure that whatever you are doing is realistic and it is something that is smart, specific, measurable, those kind of stuff. Yeah. So let's go to the next one, development impact 3. Next slide, please. Please, I hope I'm not talking too fast. I know that I talk too fast and it's always difficult for people to follow me sometimes. So let me know if my pace is too fast for you to follow.
I think your pace is okay. Maybe you might just slow down or increase your voice. Maybe that might help, but otherwise, I think that's okay.
Okay. All right. So my internet connection is stable. Okay. All right. So development impact 3. So the question here is what you expect to change in development terms following your studies, including the outcomes that you aim to achieve, the time frame for their implementation, and then who the beneficiaries will be. So from my experience, one of those things that I aim to achieve, and they will list those ones in bullet format, or they will just enumerate it. They do not start with time frame. And then the beneficiary, oh well, I don't know where they get that idea from, but I used to tell them I won't really say it's the best. I don't know if someone has used it before and the person won't. I mean, that's one of the joy in these things. Sometimes what you think is generally acceptable, somebody else will do something different from it, and that is just the selling point, the ability to also be unique. But in my own opinion, I don't really support that with the outcomes first. I always prefer start with implementation, start with the action. It is when there's an action, there is an outcome. You can't just talk about an outcome and then start explaining the action. I just feel it's not flowing well. So you first of all, start with an action, the time frame from your actions, then the outcomes. Then from the outcomes, you can also identify the beneficiaries. That is what I believe. So the tips I mentioned here is that, first of all, again, mention some skills you would have gained from your study. Want to start with those skills, then provide more details on the actions you listed in development impact 2. Consistency is key. Now, you don't have to measure something in development impact 2, and by development impact 3, you are measuring another thing. You are not, that is lack of consistency. And that's one of the ways they know whether you are really serious or you have a good plan or not. So you want to make sure that when you're talking of actions that you plan to do, there's a consistency between what you have mentioned in the past and what you are still mentioning now. There's this kind of consistency there. So because the world is go back what this person mentioned in development impact 2, is it not consistent with what the person is mentioning in development impact 3? If they're not consistent, they know that they're just coming up with stories. But when they're consistent, they know that indeed this person has a plan. So this is like an opportunity for you to now expound on that plan. Also, mention the timeline for your actions. Name of places, estimated numbers of beneficiary, and the outcomes in clear terms, please. These are ways to show that you have a clear plan. You know, when you can mention names, you are not scared of mentioning where you plan to make impact, the name of people you want to work with, and your outcomes in clear and measurable terms. So let's see an example of how that was done. Next slide, please. Yeah, so again, like I said, start with your skills. So the first sentence starts with the skills. So I said, after completing my study in the UK, I would have gained essential skills in climate, the underlying causes of this risk, and then the ability to analyze theories and regulations related to climate change. So those are the skills I mentioned. Now, and I said, I proceeded, you are saying, using these skills, can you see? Just to tell them that me mentioning these skills were not just there to waste my word out. I mentioned them because it is the basis behind most of my actions. So now, using these skills, from the last quarter of, this is my timeline. So when they say timeline, you want to be very specific. I've seen people saying, see, in 3 years, I will do this. In 4 years, and I will understand, in 3 years can be 2055 to 2058. That's a 3 year timeline. We're not specific enough. When you just keep saying 3 years, in 3 years could be 2075 to 2078. So, but if you are specific by mentioning the specific years you are working with, I think it makes it more, or some people will say in the next 3 years, or within 3 years after my, I think that one is still okay. That one is still okay. At least someone can understand it. But preferably, I will always prefer you just mention those years. I mean, you have nothing to lose. So using these skills from the last quarter of 2025 to 2026. So I still went back to the early stuff I mentioned in the development impact to show consistency. But this time around, I'm expanding on it because the other part, I didn't have enough outcomes to explain. So this one now gave me an explanation, an opportunity to explain. So I talk about how I will leverage my current relationship with him to organize workshops on identifying the root causes of climate risk in Lagos, Nigeria. I talk about how the workshop will be in collaboration with the Lagos State House of Assembly and Lagos State television reporters using Mr. Coker's influence and relationship with these key actors. Then this is my outcome. As a result, the outcome of the workshop will be improved knowledge on the identification and prevention of climate risks. So that is my outcome. So additionally, given that the representative of the Lagos State House of Assembly and LTV reporters will be present, another outcome would be more rigorous and effective policy to tackle climate risk. That's another outcome. Then I went further by talking about my plan on the climate change club. Do you notice that I simply just expand on what I've already mentioned in development part 2? That's what I just did here. So furthermore, from 2027 to 2029, I plan to leverage my experience as a past fellow of Teach for the Future to set up climate change club in 10 primary schools in Eco and Ottawa State, Nigeria. And this club will be responsible for executing climate action projects in their schools. This will result in the inclusion of climate education in the primary school curriculum. Now, this effort will be beneficial to upper primary school students, the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, and the Federal Ministry of Environment in Nigeria. So this is the beneficiaries. These are the beneficiaries. So in just this thesis, I have mentioned the timeline of my implementation. I have mentioned what I plan to implement, and I have also mentioned my beneficiaries. Most importantly, I was consistent with what I already mentioned in development impact. So those are the banana cliffs. So you see people telling you how the essays were strong, but one of the first things they make mistake on is when they go to development impact theory, what they realize was totally different from what they already mentioned in development impact. So no consistency. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, so the fourth development impact. Now, you've mentioned the problem and the solution. You've given us a summary of what you want to do. You've gone further to explain how you plan to do them, include a time frame. But you know, it's a Nigerian proverb, talk is cheap. So basically, but for your talk not to be cheap, can you give us evidence of how your work will be best measured, or evidence? Like, what are the ways we can say that, okay, this things you've told us you plan to do, when you start doing them, we want to get evidence that you are really making impact. Now, this is what they're trying to say. So, how the impact of your work could be best measured? Please include details of what indicators are used to measure the impact. Basically, what are the indicators in the population? If you are taking statistics, what are the particular indicators in that particular stats that will show that indeed you are making impact? For example, someone who is trying to reduce the number of HIV, is trying to reduce the HIV prevalence in a community. Now, one way the person would measure the impact of this work is to know the number of people living with HIV/AIDS in that community, maybe before he or she started his work, and then after he or she started raising awareness. So the indicators in that statistic could be the fact that there has been a reduction in the number of people now living with HIV, or the number of people that are now aware of the risk, all this kind of stuff. So those are the key indicators. So you also mentioned the key indicators, and you may also wish to detail small and incremental changes as well as small. Now, when they say incremental changes, they're talking about increase. So you want to say you want something from you plan to improve something from 5% to 10%. Those are small and incremental changes, but they're also okay. Just make sure they are believable. So they're already giving you the likely ways. You understand? They're already suggesting likely ways for you. So it's just left for you to even understand what they are saying, and then follow their blue map. Come up with your own indicators or your way of measuring impact. And also, sometimes you can be blank. Just go to the UN SDG website. Look at what are the key indicators they themselves are using to measure that particular SDG goals you are focusing on. Think about your own local community. How can you apply or replicate this? And how will you measure them too? So it's more about research. So the first thing is, remember the proposed outcome from development to activity. So yes. Now go back to the outcome. What were the outcomes you measured? You mentioned. Now these outcomes, how will you measure them? Now, if I can recall, I think one of the outcomes I mentioned was that please, can we go back to that? I just want to highlight that. Can we go back to the previous slide? The previous slide, please. The previous one. Yeah, so one of the outcomes is that improved knowledge on the identification and prevention of climate risk. So how will I measure this? Is what I will ask myself. Then another outcome is rigorous and effective policies to tackle climate risk. How would I measure this? Then the last one is this will result in the inclusion of climate education in the Nigeria school curriculum. How will I measure this? Great. Now let's go to the next slide, please. Slides. Next slide. Great. So now for some people, because I also wrote, I think I wrote more than one. This one was one of the essays that turned out good. So in some of my essays, I intentionally diversified it. So in some of my essays, I enumerated these parts: number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. In this one, I intentionally wrote it in front of the paragraph. So again, there's no one size fits for. The most important thing is you've addressed the question. So in some essays, you will see that you enumerated yours. The impact of my work will be best measured in these ways. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. or you write it in paragraphs. But this one, in this particular instance, I wrote mine in paragraphs. So I mentioned that firstly, it should be measured by the increase in knowledge and skills of the general public in climate risk identification and prevention. I see that this thing went back to the outcome and it came to achieve. I was talking about the fact that my outcome will be that the general public, there will be an increase in identification and prevention, in climate risk identification and prevention. So now I'm not saying that this should be measured by the increase in the knowledge and skills. So basically, before, people do not know, but now they now know. So the number of people that now know is a way I will measure my impact. If I ask someone, how can you prevent flooding in your community? Or how can you improve adaptation to flooding or develop resilience to flooding? And they do not know before. But after some community awareness program and maybe about 5 or 6 of them now know you have made impact. You've made impact. So the increase in the knowledge and skills of general public in climate change adaptation and prevention is one way. And this data will be collected through research questionnaires. Simple as it is. You go first at the time you have not done anything. You ask them, you take notes of that. Then you did something. You go again, you ask another question, you take note of that. If you have really done good work, there should be a difference between before you started making impact and after you started making impact. Additionally, the effectiveness of climate, can you see that this, I still went back to the outcome about the policy now. See the consistency. The effectiveness of climate risk-related policies, I would recommend to the Lagos State government to workshop is another key indicator. In other words, this policy that we are talking about, how effective are they? If they are effective, then that is a key indicator. If they're not effective, then we still have more work to do. Then finally, the number of students in my climate action clubs, the number of climate action projects done, and the increased awareness about climate education in Nigerian schools will be documented and sent as quarterly reports to the CSC. So you see, I have gone back to my outcome and look at those outcomes and to ask myself, how do I measure this outcome? And I just wrote them. It is not hard. So that's why you just need to start on a good note, because it is how you start, you just continue, you continue, you continue. You should not start from Mali and then all of a sudden you jump to Saudi Arabia. Where is the route? How come they did it? So you want to make sure that there is a link. If you are traveling from Mali to Algeria, show that you pass through Niger or you pass through Libya, whatever. Show them that link that makes them know that at least you know what's happening. There's a flow. Okay, so the next slide. The next slide. Okay, so yeah, so this is just like a summary. So there must be a link from development impact 1 to development impact 2 to development impact 3 to development impact 4, and that is just the key consistency. So you see, that your wonderful essay you are writing, it's not saying they're not wonderful, but have you taken your time to check if someone decided to read them? Are they flowing? Now, let me tell you one trick you should use to know if your essays are flowing. Copy and paste what you wrote in development impact 1. Copy it on a Word document. Copy development impact 2. Copy it on that same Word document. Copy development impact 3. Now, don't include the questions. Don't include the questions. Just copy all of them. Make it look like a journal or an essay. Then read it. Read it. Ask yourself, are they flowing? Because that is it. Development impact 1 to 4, ideally, they are supposed to be like one essays. They're supposed to be like one document. But they want to help you ensure there's a flow. So they divided it into development impact 1 up to 4. In such a way that when you now merge all of them together without those questions, it is making sense. So if you merge what you've written in development impact 1, you merge it as a first 2 paragraph in the Word document. And then what you wrote in development impact 2, you merge it as one single paragraph. What you wrote in development impact 2, you merge it as another paragraph. And then finally, your development impact 4, you merge all of them together as in one single document. And all of them total, let's say, 1,000 words or so, something, without no question in between, without no subheading in between. You decide to read all of them together. Are they making sense? That is how you know if what you are writing is making sense or not, or if there's a consistency. There should be a flow. There should be a flow. Next slide, please. So there's additional essays on study outline. This part, some people just summarize what the study is all about, which is fine. Me, I used to even advise that people use this opportunity to literally write a very short proposal, what their dissertation will be about, or what their research will be about. That's what I used to advise. Then the proposed study in the UK, which is a detailed plan of the study, is when you now talk more effectively on the modules and other things. But this short part, I used to just use it to focus on your research or dissertation. But some just use it to also summarize what the whole course are about. Then they use the detailed parts to expand on it, and they still need. So depending on whichever way works best for you. Then the objectives during the awards is not telling you what are those things you aim to do during the awards. As a student, what are you looking forward to do? What are those things that will help you? Now, your objective should be tied to your skills. I used to advise people. Your objective should align with the skills. If you claim you want to um, um, develop critical thinking skills or good research skills, what are those things you will be doing while you are studying that will help you develop it? Is it that you volunteer for some research organizations in your school, or you will be going to workshops or seminars, or whatever things you plan to do that will help you develop those skills? This is where you talk about them. So your objective should be tied to your skills. You understand? So basically, these are the things I plan to gain. But how do I gain them? This is where you explain it. Then the career plans in the 5 years following the award. So within 5 years after you arrive, what are the things you plan to do? Again, make sure they are tied to what you have mentioned in development impact 2 and 3. You remember that those things are immediate things you plan to do. So there's no way you'll be talking about your career plan in the 5 years following the award. And somehow, you still did not mention them. You understand? So you want to first of all mention them. Then you could, this is now another opportunity to measure additional things you plan to do. You understand? If you have more words counts or expand on it, but they must be consistent. Then the long-term career plan is now where you have to be very ambitious. If you plan to be a PhD, you plan to be a politician, you plan to take on leadership roles, senior. I mean, long-term career plans go as much as 10 to 15 years. So nobody plans to still remain at the same level. So in the next 10 years, you expect it to be a big person. So you can aim high. This is where you explain it, and you explain how you plan to get there. You understand? So make it believable. Then your personal statement. This one is your own personal story. How you've overcome challenges and barriers to attain quality education, or you've excelled in your academics, despite the fact that maybe it wasn't supposed to be so. You were not really supposed to even be a graduate, for whatever reason, there you are. In a sense that shows you develop resilience. But most importantly, still connect it to the problem you want to fix. Don't just tell us a story that is just about getting pity and it's still not related to what you want to fix. If you have been, if you are trying to address flooding or climate change, I expect that in your personal statement, you should talk about how this thing has affected you as a child as well. That is my own belief. So besides talking about how you grow and you have to take up a lot of work to sponsor yourself through, talk about how the problem you want to address now, it first of all dealt with you when you were small. And that is why you yourself have decided that you must find a solution to this. In your voluntary and leadership experience, and mentioned some of this in the CV. So this is where you now have the opportunity to now explain some of those things you've listed in your CV, the voluntary and leadership experience, what you have done, and please start in chronological order. Start from the is it from the earliest to the latest? Yeah, latest to the earliest. I don't know, but make sure there's a flow. Don't start from 2022, then jump to 2023, then you start from 2024, and then you jump to 2021. it's not making sense. So you want to make sure that you start from, so maybe you're starting from 2024. You want to start from your first voluntary and leadership experience. That may be in 2022. Then you start at 2023, then up to now, which is 2024. Or you start from the 2024. But again, I think what one way to approach this is to start from the ones you've done in time past and then build on it up to what you're now currently doing. It shows your antecedents. It shows your history in that particular area, and how they've connected. And then always end with your observations. Like when I was listing my voluntary experience, I additionally left, I think, 50 word counts in my last paragraph. And what did I use it to do? I talk about how in all my years of volunteering experience, I haven't come across an organization that is doing so and so. I think in my case, I talk about how I haven't come across an organization that is raising climate awareness or that is creating climate education in Nigerian schools. I can't remember. I talk about it. Then I now further talk about why I am now going to study this so that I can be the first person to do that. So again, in your voluntary experience, intentionally you've done that. But in all your years of volunteering experience, this is a gap you've identified. None of the organizations you volunteered with, or none of the experience you've had have done this. So this is why you want to study this, so that you'll be the first person to approach this problem from this particular perspective. So in everything you do, still make sure that they are consistent with what you're applying for. So I believe that is what we found out. Yeah, thank you very much. And I hope I didn't take much time. Any questions?
All right. Thank you so much. I'll give Martins quickly to just give some remarks and then we go into questions. So thank you for the essays and also briefly outlining the other essays as well, not just the first four. So your first four essays are 200, 250, 200, 250, thereabouts. They are quite short because it's supposed to be one essay, but because the Commonwealth are very kind and they are trying to get you not to waste your time and also their time, so they break it down into four parts and give you prompts that will guide each of them. So Segun gave a very good advice at the end of your essays, put them all in one document and read them to see, because it's actually one essay, but it was written in parts, so you can put it that way and so that you can see what you're saying, and also for your other experiences as well. Hopefully we'll have, anyway, I'll leave this part for Martin to talk about following sessions after this. And yeah, we will open the floor to questions, but I'll move on to Martins. Do you want to come in or do we go to questions?
Hi, let me just quickly do this and I'll leave the session to you since you like leaving things to me. But first, I want to say, Shegun, thank you. I understand the intensity it takes to like walk through essays as fast as he could. I mean, we do one essay for 2 hours, and it's still not enough. We even have to add like 1 extra hour and all of that. Those who were part of our achieving boot camp, they know, right? Some of them are on this call. One essay, one. So he went through several essays, I think about 4 essays in less than 30 minutes thereabout. And so we apologize if he was really, really fast and if you were not able to get some things and all that. But we wanted you to see how all of this come together, how all of this connects. So please, everyone, can we just put our hands together for Chief Segun Bamidele, because it's a strong work he has done in such a short time. And man, you talk really fast. I don't have that energy. God knows. I was like, my goodness. You are my God. Okay, all right. Okay. Before I give it to Excel, we have planned that this will be the first of 3 sessions. The next 2 sessions will be running concurrently in the coming weekend, which will be Saturday and Sunday. Each session would last for a minimum of 2 hours. And the sessions are targeted at writing the essays. We would show you how to write essays live, and how to review your essays live. So it will be happening Saturday and Sunday. Information about that will be shared with you since you registered for this session via email and also on the community for those of you that have already filled the form, right? So I would not take up any time. I know there are lots of questions in the chat box. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Martin Sekekolo, as spelled in the chat. You can check for me on LinkedIn. You can say hi, we can connect, and then you can check for you, Lead International on YouTube, and we can connect as well. Chief Excel, over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Martins. And before I leave everything over to you for this last time, I will just quickly scroll through to see if we have questions. Yeah, the first one says, can you apply for Commonwealth Masters or PhD? Uh, yeah, for that one, each of them, as explained at the beginning, there are 7 different types of Commonwealth programs, and all of them have different times. And the Commonwealth Masters and Commonwealth Shared Masters, that shared there makes it different. So the shared does not. Let me explain. So masters, the only difference is that for masters, you have a nominating agency. So they're like bodies that you go to, you submit your application. I don't really know much about that because I didn't come through that route. But then you submit your application to the bodies, and then the bodies will review your application and then offer you like the scholarship. But you would also apply to the schools, definitely. But then shared, you apply to Commonwealth and the schools will review your essays. So this one now is shared between your university and the Commonwealth. So the university will be the one to first review your essays, make a selection, and then pass the essays on to the British High Commissioners to do the final selection. And quickly moving on to another. Yeah, so every information. So one good thing about Commonwealth and Chevron is that they make their information very understandable and very easy to follow. Like it's very chronological. If you go on their website, you see everything. So the best thing for you to do is to search Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. Or the first place for you even is to go on YouTube and just watch a general overview of so that because you cannot apply for something you don't understand. So you can just first watch a video to understand how they are different. And then after you've watched that brief video, you go on the website and then you just read everything. Like don't scan, try and read every single thing on the website. So that would be the advice I would give, honestly. Because if you don't read from the Commonwealth and then you send some of us some questions, we will know that you've not read it and would simply redirect you back to the website. So we can only answer things that are okay to be answered. Yeah, Commonwealth Masters has closed this year. It closed, but then the Commonwealth Shared is open. But then once you get the Commonwealth, the stipend is the same, the opportunities are the same. Once we all get here, we're all the same. It's just that one person is coming from shared, another person is coming from masters. It's just a different route, but it's the same masters. But then they have split site. Split site is that you're doing a PhD in your country, but then 1 year of your PhD, you do it in the UK. So they will just pay for just 1 year of your study in partnership with a university. And then that university will give you a certificate with your school. So in your graduation certificate for your PhD, you have that it's a split site between your home university and the school where you did that 1 year. But you also have straight up full PhD, 3 years, 4 years. So you can find all this in the slide. We'll also share this slide, all the information at the beginning of the slide. And I will go back to see